The number 3 Texas Longhorns go on the road to renew the rivalry versus the Arkansas Razorbacks. Why is their offense a threat? Where is their defense vulnerable? And most importantly, can Sark get revenge for that blowout loss in year 1 of his tenure? After the video, make sure to go to Inside Texas to stay locked in with your favorite team. I produce the new Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, so come hang Monday through Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Central. Crucial team news, up-to-the-minute recruiting updates, and insightful game analysis is dropping on the daily. Subscribe to InsideTexas.com and the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel today. Links in the description. These two programs have a long history of hate, and it's finally time to reignite the ill will. If Texas wins out, they're in the SEC championship. Can Texas secure that W in a tough environment in Fayetteville? Or will the Razorbacks derail our season? Without further ado, let's get into it. After axing offensive coordinator Dan Enos in the middle of the season last year, head coach Sam Pittman hired Bobby Petrino to take over the offense. Petrino doesn't have the best reputation off the field, but there's no question the man can coach offense. For year 1, this group has been doing really well. 28th in yards per play, 9th in success rate, and 31st in offensive explosiveness. But they can't get out of their own way with the 125th ranked havoc rate. So let's see why this team is so up and down. Starting quarterback Taylen Green is about as dynamic as they come. Awesome frame at 6'6", 230 pounds with good arm talent. On top of that, he has top-tier play extension abilities and he can run all over you. But first, let's talk passing. Completion-wise, he's a little bit below average short and intermediate, but he is slightly above average deep, able to make those clear one-on-one reads and deliver. He's not the field general type to sit there and carve you up at all levels. Green's just 14th of 21 SEC quarterbacks in total completion percentage at just 61%. On top of that, he holds the ball way too long due to his slower processing, with an SEC second worst 3.2 seconds time to throw. This of course causes the Arkansas offensive line to falter, and then he's able to do his favorite thing, escape right out of the pocket and work towards the sideline or take off. He does a bad job of inviting way too much pressure, but he does a good job of avoiding it with a solid 17% pressure to sack rate. Green has that ability to create plays out of thin air or just tuck it and get big yards. In the designed run game, Green frustrates opposing defenses as well. He's second in the league for rushing quarterbacks, averaging 6.2 yards per attempt. And that big frame allows him to boast the 3rd best yards after contact per attempt. So whether it's a called run or he's improvising, Green is a problem with his legs. So you see all the tools, you see the physical size, the arm ability, and the aptitude for extending plays. How's this dude not a Heisman candidate, right? Well, there's a fatal flaw. He hurts his team just as much as he helps them. Watching Green's highlights would make you nervous as an opposing fan, but he might have one of the worst low-light reels in the country too. First, he can't hold on to the ball. Green has the most fumbles in the entire country with 11. He's averaging more than 1 per game. And in the past, he's tied for 3rd in the SEC with 7 interceptions. Green is a special mix of traits, but it's hard to always overcome that with a Jekyll and Hyde playstyle. High risk, high reward. Wow play followed by a head scratcher. But despite all the warts, overall, Taylen Green is the 3rd graded quarterback in the entire SEC. Imagine how dominant he could be without all those mistakes. Through the air, Arkansas posts a great 15th ranked yards per pass, 21st passing success rate, with a pretty good 47th ranked passing explosivity. And a lot of this is due to Petrino's offensive design, but Arkansas has a couple of solid receiving options. Leading the team in targets and by far the number 1 receiver with 84 is Andrew Armstrong. The redshirt senior, standing at 6'4", weighing 202 pounds, does a surprising amount of his work in the short game. About 50% of all of his targets come under 10 yards, and that's unique for being that big. He's the highest graded SEC receiver in that 1 to 10 yard range. Armstrong has good route running for that size, and he can work quick in breakers and curls, but he actually does a lot of damage on those short crossing drag routes. When he does go vertical, it's most likely in that 10 to 20 yard range, and he's effective here as well, ranked 5th. Arkansas relies on him to stabilize the passing game, and he gets the job done. Overall, he's the 2nd best receiver in the league. Next, we have slot Isaiah Satania with 41 targets. The 5'11", 185-pound inside receiver is their speed option, with 65% of his targets coming below 10 yards. The intent there is for him to rack up yards after the catch, but that's actually not occurring, ranked 29th in yak per reception. Of course, with the faster receivers, they will slip him deep, and he's caught over half of those bombs, so pay attention because he is top 10 deep, but overall, he's not having as good of a season as we expected. He's 28th of 44 SEC receivers. Tied for second in targets with 41 is the massive 6'7", 200-pound redshirt senior, Tyrone Broden. This outside receiver would be threatening if he could actually catch the ball. He has the SEC worst 36% catch rate. That's horrific. He also leads all 130-plus FBS teams in dropped balls. 25% of the passes thrown his way bounce off his hands. That's nuts too. A majority of his targets are intermediate and deep, trying to utilize that size downfield, but like I said, it doesn't matter if you can't be relied upon. I'm actually shocked he's still even getting a lot of reps. Overall, Broden is the worst graded receiver in all of the SEC. Fourth in targets is tight end Luke Haas with 22, and he's doing a good job. They keep him in line 77% of the time, so not a lot of motioning him to the slot, so you have to watch him slipping out from the murk of the box undetected. He's reliable with a second best 86% reception rate and effective with a third best 14.1 yards per reception. Overall, he's the second best receiving tight end in the conference. Fifth in targets is rotational slot Isaac Tesla with 20 targets. He's not your traditional slot build though at 6'4", 217 pounds, and the senior can press you vertically with a sixth best 20 yards per reception, pulling in 80% of his targets. Be on the lookout for him anywhere north of 10 yards. He has few 2 targets for a grade, but he's 19th of 44 SEC receivers if you force him into the dataset. The offensive line drags down the passing offense, though, with their lack of protection. They rank 12th of 16 SEC teams in unit pass blocking efficiency, giving up 15 sacks, 10 quarterback hits, 64 hurries, and 89 pressures. Arkansas only has one top 25 pass blocker in right guard Joshua Braun. Not one-dimensional on offense, Petrino has been able to find success on the ground as well. He's 41st in yards per rush at 4.7, 5th in rushing success rate, able to move forward consistently, and 33rd in rushing explosivity. They've had impressive runners both at quarterback and at running back, though they've been struggling to keep that room healthy. Former Texas player Jaquindon Jackson leads the team with 103 rushing attempts. He's been out with an ankle injury, but Pittman said it's possible he plays. He's that awesome NFL blend of size and athleticism at 6'2", 233. Jaquindon's doing everything well with a 7th best yards per attempt, a 7th best yards after contact per attempt, and an above average breakaway percentage on those longer runs. Overall, Jackson is the second graded back in the SEC. Second in attempts with 47 is true freshman Braylon Russell, who's been dealing with some leg issues as well, but he should be fresh for the Texas game. He's a huge back at 6'1", 253 pounds, so he's not fun to tackle. He's got a league third best 6.5 yards per attempt with a top 10 breakaway percentage. So he's a big boy, but he can also move. Definitely a back you want to keep your eye on over the coming years. But for whatever reason, he has a bad 26 overall rank. A third back, Rodney Hill, just came back for the Ole Miss game after missing several games. Hill was a patient backfield runner at Florida State, but still struggled to produce there with only 3.8 yards per carry. This season, he's only at 5.2 yards per rush. We need to see if he can make something happen now that he's back. The 5'10", 186-pound redshirt sophomore doesn't have enough snaps to get a grade. With all the injuries, fourth-string running back Rashad Dubinion got the start last week. He has an average 5.4 yards per carry, but an awesome 4.1 yards after contact per attempt, good for 4th in the league. But we have to see how many reps he's actually going to get with the guys ahead of him returning to health. Dubinion also does not have enough carries for a grade. With a healing room, the run game should experience some decent success with 4 of 5 offensive linemen in the top half of SEC run blockers. Right guard Joshua Braun is 22nd. Left guard Keyshawn Blackstock is 41st. Left tackle Fernando Carmona is 45th. And center Addison Nichols is 47th of 100 run-blocking SEC linemen. Zooming out, the Arkansas offense has posted solid stats in the run and the pass. They have a dynamic quarterback, a strong running back room, and a high-performing number 1 receiver. The issue has been their inability to pass block, leading to sacks, and most importantly, their skill players' penchant for interceptions and fumbles. They can march up and down the field with ease between the 20s thanks to Petrino's scheme, but they struggle to execute when it really matters, ranking 97th in the country in red zone scoring. This team would be one of the better offenses in the country if they could stop the self-inflicted wounds, but right now they rank 56th in the advanced metric OFEI. The Texas defense actually has a tougher matchup than usual this week. First, it's on the pass rush to limit Green's ability to extend plays and escape the pocket. Don't get too undisciplined with your rush lanes and let him eke out to the side or up the gut. If you can force him to stay in the pocket, it'll result in a sack or him putting the ball in danger. The Razorbacks do most of their damage though through the air, and this is the highest ranked passing offense we have faced all season by a lot. With a contained Green at quarterback, the goal becomes to limit Armstrong, as the other receivers aren't dominant enough to lead the charge statistically. But they do a ton of crossing routes, so playing man can become tricky. While this is a top 15 passing offense for Arkansas, they are going to face the #1 pass defense in the country for Texas. This should test the Longhorns secondary and vice versa. In the run game, if Green does decide to take off, then you must try to punch the ball out to increase his already insane fumble count. Don't let him gas you pulling the ball on read plays either, but we handled the option well against Vandy, so I feel okay here. A healthy Arkansas running back room can wear on you a bit though with their 41st ranked yards per rush, but Texas ranks 16th in the country in stopping the run still, so advantage Horns. But any way you slice it, this should be an important test for the Texas defense to give us more confidence moving into the playoffs. The Razorback offense is the strongest aspect of their team on paper, but the other side of the ball has some work to do. But before we hit the defense, the sponsor of today's video is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a skill-based daily fantasy sports app where you can make college football player projections all season long. How does it work? You select 2 to 6 players and choose more or less on their Prize Pick projections. It could be passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, and more. And if those players score more or less than their Prize Pick projection, you can win up to 100 times your money this football season. I do a lot of Texas and opponent research, so I like to put my insights to the test, and Prize Picks is a fun way for me to put my money where my mouth is. Just hop on the Prize Picks app or website, go to the college football tab, and check out the player projections. It's a smooth process where you can make your entries in 60 seconds or less with fast withdrawals. It's that easy. As a first-time depositor, use promo code TexasHomer and get $50 instantly once you play $5 in lineups. You don't need to win your lineup to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So sign up for Prize Picks, use promo code TexasHomer at sign up, and add even more excitement to your game day. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Link in the description. The Arkansas defense, like the offense, is up and down. They run a 4-2-5 nickel defense, the common one most fans are used to seeing, but they still dabble in a 3-2-6 look to get lots of defensive backs on the field, and occasionally they play that 3-high safety defense we got accustomed to in the Big 12. Run stopping is their defensive strength, 46th in yards per rush with a good 19th ranked defensive rushing success rate, and a great 7th ranked defensive rushing explosivity, not allowing the long strike. Arkansas has just one top half interior run stopper though, and defensive tackle Eric Gregory ranks 7th. On the outside edge and projected first round pick Landon Jackson ranks 7th as well, but he's the only top half defensive end. On the second level, Georgia transfer will linebacker Xavier Sori Jr. ranks 21st, and rotational Mike Brad Spence is 23rd of 53 run-stopping linebackers. But it's that third level that's most effective currently. That secondary is really strong against the run. Rotational safety Larry Worth is 17th. Starting corner Marquise Robinson is 19th. Starting safety TJ Metcalf is 29th. Tennessee transfer nickel Danico Slaughter is 34th. Starting corner Hudson Clark is 47th. And rotational corner Jaheim Singletary is 51st of 118 run-stopping DBs. With Arkansas returning an experienced defensive line with a first-round pick, you would expect them to be far more damaging in the pass rush, but that's not the case, ranking 74th in sacks per game and 81st in quarterback sack rate. Once again, the only interior guy performing at a top half level is tackle Eric Gregory, ranked 23rd with 14 total pressures, 4 of which are sacks, but he has a low 7% win rate. The only top half edge rusher is the 6'7", 280-pound Landon Jackson, but he's not producing in accordance with his draft stock, with a 26th ranked performance so far this season. with 32 pressures, 5 of which are sacks, winning 12% of the time. He's still the edge to watch out for on this squad though. He's just easy to devote extra resources to right now. Will linebacker Xavier Sori Jr. is top half for linebackers again, ranked 7th of 33 with 10 pressures, 2 of which are sacks. In the secondary, they can send pressure from the safety or the nickel spot, but only safety Jaden Johnson is top half in the pass rush for the DBs with 2 pressures, 1 of which is a sack. The Razorback pass defense has been the team weakness by far. 118th in the country in opponent yards per pass, 119th in opponent passing success rate, so teams can move the ball with ease, and 74th in passing explosivity, allowing teams to take the top off. There's no better example of this than the Ole Miss game. Kiffin and Dart absolutely demolished them through the air, doing whatever they wanted. They were picking them apart in zone and absolutely torching them in man. And after a while, the defensive backs kind of quit. They have a solid 36th ranked interceptions per game, but that's few and far between teams throwing it all over the field. Only one coverage linebacker barely makes the top half at 25th in starting Mike Steven Dix Jr. In the secondary, the only top half player is safety Jaden Johnson at 42nd. That's only 2 total players playing at an above average level in the entire defense. That's not ideal. Some potential good news for Arkansas could be top cornerback Jalen Braxton could return for the Texas game after being out since week 2. We'll have to see if he can help the unit coming back from injury. In totality, the defense is effective in stopping the run, but that only encourages teams to pass, and when they do pass, they overwhelm the Arkansas DBs. They lack a pass rush to force throws, and that results in too many yards through the air as well. And they don't turn the ball over enough to make the difference, ranking 93rd in the country in turnover margin, and 104th in penalties per game, lacking discipline. Overall, the Arkansas defense is ranked 51st in the advanced metric DFEI. A group that once again would be far better if they could just limit those silly mistakes. For the Texas offense, the 39th ranked Texas run game will meet a worthy opponent in the 38th ranked yards per rush Arkansas defense. Both groups are evenly matched statistically, so I'm wanting to see who wins this matchup. Texas looked better on the ground versus Florida, so hopefully that success continues. I, of course, want to see more long runs. The Razorback defense doesn't do too much in the pass rush, so I am looking for the offensive line to continue to limit sacks and keep Ewers upright and calm. We should have time to deliver some deep strikes. With a clean pocket, the Arkansas secondary struggles mightily, and there's no reason Texas can't put up fireworks like Ole Miss did. Avoid the interceptions getting too greedy, but our wide receivers should be able to win versus man and versus zone. When they do break out the 3 safeties, 6 defensive back defense, go to the power run game, or beat the corners on the outside through the air. The Texas offense is 11th in the country in OFEI, and should have a clear advantage here as long as the Texas offense doesn't limit itself. These 2 programs have gone in different directions since they last met in 2021. Texas has continued to rise, and Arkansas is still deciding if Pittman is even the right guy. But despite the dysfunction in Northwest Arkansas, they will give Texas their very best shot, and they've had 2 weeks to rest up and plot on the horns during their bye week. It's time to see who's ready to rekindle the rivalry and win the first matchup as SEC foes. We will see who comes out victorious this Saturday morning when Texas returns to Fayetteville. Thanks for hanging out. Watch some more of my videos here, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you want to support quality Texas content. As always, hook 'em.